News Radio Wham 1180 welcomes you to the Seniors Rock Show. The Seniors Rock Show, a lively weekly discussion shedding a bright light on aging with fun, entertainment, and important info for all adults. Join us with your comments or questions. Call or text 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now, from the News Radio Wham 1180 studios in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Hello and welcome to the show. I am Joanna and I'm here with estate planning attorney Mike Robinson of the Law Office of Michael Robinson and also our iHeart studio producer Pam. She's in that tower downtown. She can see the lake. She can see down 390. She might even be able to see you. But anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm in a kidding mood today. But seriously, we just celebrated our 4-year anniversary on WHM 1180. And we're like family. You know, we enjoy each other's company and yours like for an hour every Saturday at 11. Now, don't forget, I'll keep reminding you of that because I keep forgetting myself. And today, talk about family. Our guests really are related and their father and daughter, both supporting their clients with a lot of enthusiasm and experience. And they are with Benefit Reps of America, and they're pretty much our benefit reps. They are a local family-owned business, even though it says America in there. They're right there on Ridge Road. And Dave, one of our guests, is a co-founder, and he has worked for the Social Security Administration for many years, and now he uses his experience, to give his clients a better chance for approval, and they do it very well. And the benefits, they get the benefits that folks deserve. So listen up to that if you have anyone who's in that kind of a scenario. And Dave's an expert in both Social Security and Medicare. And Lindsay, his daughter, excels in Medicare as well. She is a certified Medicare specialist, and I work with her. I've had that pleasure, and I can tell you personally that she's very proactive. She's a total pleasure to work with, and she is what she sounds like on the air. She's a genuine person, and guess what? She saved me money and time. Not to mention, Mike, I have to bring this up. Hours of waiting through options that change like every year. I know you're not there yet, but once you start getting hit with those choices, there are so many. Anyway, it was wonderful to have her wade through them all and really point out the most important ones. So, I wonder why people want to do these things. These are important health benefits. Why you'd want to do that alone and not have the support of someone who's trained and knowledgeable like a Dave or Lindsay to help you, I don't know. So I recommend them, and today you're going to hear why. So first, though, I think we should listen to my co-host, attorney Mike Robinson. And Mike knows a lot about estate planning. And if you're a regular listener, then you know that. And he's had decades of supporting families through some of the toughest days of their lives. And today, his topic is also about family. So I'm going to let Mike take the mic and say hello. What do you got?
Hey, Joanna. Happy Saturday.
Thank you.
And I can say good morning now, right? Because we're starting in the morning.
Yes, and I'm still struggling with this. It's funny how your brain gets wired, right? Go ahead.
I know. I have to remind myself too. But yeah, some family-oriented conversation today. And it's a question, Joanna, I get fairly often. Why is it that for married couples, I recommend credit shelter trusts, also sometimes referred to as disclaimer trusts, why I recommend those for estate tax planning rather than simply relying on the portability rules with estate tax. And just a real quick review. The estate tax, of course, is a tax that is imposed on the value of what we own when we die, and that now we're passing on to others, whether it's real estate, investments, retirement accounts, cash in the bank, vehicles, whatever. All of that value gets added up, and it's subject to an estate tax. There's a federal estate tax and also a state-level estate tax. And so the question about portability has to do with a rule that came into effect, over 10 years ago now, that allows a surviving spouse to use the unused estate tax exemption amount from their spouse who previously passed away. So what that has to do with is, I explained, we all have the estate tax. but there's an exclusion amount, and that's the amount that we can pass on when we die. Um, Before having to pay the estate tax. So if the exclusion amount, let's say, was $1.5 million, if our estate was over that amount, we'd have to pay an estate tax. If our estate's below that, we don't have to pay an estate tax. And so portability says that for a married couple, when one spouse dies, if the value of their estate is not large enough to trigger an estate tax, that means it's below the estate tax threshold, whatever that unused amount is gets to be added to the exclusion amount of the surviving spouse. So again, let's say,
All right, wait, you're doing math here. Can you
I know
explain
it's
one more time on that one?
gotta have coffee for this. So for a married couple, when one spouse dies, if their total estate value, that deceased spouse, if it is less than the exclusion amount, then there's no estate tax due. But if that value exceeds the exclusion amount, then there's going to be an estate tax. So if the exclusion amount, let's say it was $1 million, somebody dies with a $900,000 estate, no estate tax. If they die with a $1.1 million estate, now we're looking at an estate tax.
Oh, got it now. Good. Thank you.
All right. So let's say that a married couple has a total estate between them of $2 million. They each have, between their own assets, their joint assets, they each have $1 million estate. And let's say the estate tax threshold is $1.5 million. Spouse number one dies, and they're going to leave everything to their surviving spouse, right? Pretty typical stuff. Well, there's also something called the unlimited marital estate tax deduction, which means you can leave any amount to your surviving spouse and there's no estate tax due. So in this instance, spouse one leaves $1 million to the surviving spouse. There's no estate tax, but now surviving spouse has a $2 million estate, right? They started with their own 1 million. Now they got their deceased spouse's 1 million.
Oh,
Now, if they die, if the estate tax exclusion is $1.5 million, now we've got $500,000 over that, and there's going to be some estate taxes to be paid. So what
very
portability
interesting.
would say is that in that instance, if each spouse has a $1 million exemption, spouse number one dies, they can utilize whatever amount they have, and then the balance goes to the surviving spouse, and the net result, if the numbers work out correctly, is there's not going to be any estate tax. The problem, though, is that only applies to the federal estate tax. It does not apply to the New York estate tax. And so even though that might work to shelter the estate from the federal estate tax ultimately, it's not going to do anything to help with the New York estate tax. And if we're concerned with a federal estate tax, if the estate's large enough that there's going to be a federal estate tax, we know for certain there's going to be a New York estate tax payable. And so what happens is the surviving spouse and the family really doesn't come out very far ahead, because even though you could have an estate that's completely protected for federal purposes, if you're simply relying on portability, that can result in hundreds of thousands of dollars, even over $1 million and more in New York estate taxes to the family. So the way that credit shelter trust planning works is it allows us to make use of each spouse's exemption amount without relying on portability, and it allows us then to avoid both the federal estate tax and the New York estate tax. And depending on what the couple's looking to do, the surviving spouse can still be in full control of everything and still have access to all of the assets, and yet still have them treated in such a way that there's no estate tax due at the first spouse's passing, and there also will be no estate taxes due when the second spouse dies, so that everything passes on to the intended beneficiaries without being diminished by the estate tax.
Well, I think I was following that pretty well, but I have to say this is another example of why you need an expert like Mike when you're going through anything with an estate, a will. you need to talk to an expert, and he is one of them. And I want to mention real quick, it's the law office of Michael Robinson, and the phone number, if you want to get a hold of Mike, is 374-5210. That's 585-374-5210. And Mike, thanks for explaining that. I mean, there's no way we could keep up with the things you keep up with. So that's pretty fascinating stuff. And and I want to tell you, folks, you can't see him, but he's not reading that. This is just his knowledge, which is pretty cool. So thank you again.
And well, you're welcome, and it's important stuff. And sometimes we geek out on tax issues, but very often they have a real impact on families. And
Yeah.
again, the goal is to preserve what we can for the benefit of the family while still keeping people in control of everything they have.
Yeah, and those are the times when families need, stability and they need to be together. They don't need to be worrying about these details. So don't wait, folks, to figure this stuff out. Stay in touch with someone like Mike or someone else that does know about estate taxes and estate planning. Also, stay tuned for David Penrose. He's an expert on Social Security claims. Have a question? You can call us. It's 222-1180. We are live today. If you want to talk to Dave or Mike or anybody else, we'll be right back with more Seniors Rock Radio on News Radio WHAM 1180.
Welcome back to Seniors Rock, and joining us now is David Penrose, founding partner and owner of Benefit Representatives of America, right here in Rochester. Dave excels at helping individuals get approval for Social Security, disability, and Medicare benefits. He's been doing it for more than 33 years. And that's not always easy. In fact, it can be complex and frustrating. But Dave's insider experience and wealth of knowledge working directly for the Social Security Administration was an eye-opener and a catalyst to start Benefit Reps of America almost 20 years ago. He and his team have helped thousands of people get the Social Security and Medicare benefits they deserve. Welcome, David Penrose.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Great to
Hi,
have you.
David. It's Joanna. Yeah, it is. And David, your experience is very unique, and I think everybody knows that knows you. And it's one of the things you talk about in your commercials. If folks have heard you saying, "Hey, we actually worked at Social Security," so having actually worked in there as an insider, I guess we're going to pick your brain a little bit about the knowledge you picked up. So let's talk about the ways that could increase someone's chances on getting approved for Social Security disability benefits or SSD. So tell us about your experience working for the Social Security Administration and how that kind of, prompted you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I started with Social Security in 1991 right out of college. Spent 15 years there, worked in the downtown Social Security office, worked in the Greece Social Security office. During my time there, during my 15 years, I helped people through the Social Security disability process and also helped people apply and navigate the Medicare system as well, in addition to working on retirement claims, survivor claims. While working at SSA, I really gained a thorough understanding of the Social Security laws and Medicare laws, and also naturally learned how the system works from inside out.
Hello, are you there, Dave?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry.
Are you on a speakerphone, Dave? There's a little bit of an echo there.
Yeah, I was. It went to speaker, but I was on my earbuds. I'm back on my earbuds. Sorry.
That's better. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about your experience with the Social Security Administration, and I guess we're going to spin that into why do many people get denied? I mean, I guess it's pretty common.
It's really common. From a statistical standpoint, Social Security denies on average about 75% of all initial disability applications. Some people would say that the system's rigged, that it's set up for people to fail for Social Security to deny them with the hopes that they're just going to go away and they're not going to fight the process and appeal their denials. Many people are denied because they failed to file the proper paperwork, or it could have been an error on Social Security's part. Many times, Social Security, for example, fails to get all the medical records, and they don't have a complete file. So those are just a couple of reasons why people get denied so often.
Dave, what can a person do to improve their chances of getting their Social Security disability application approved?
Well, one of the things they can do is make sure that they complete all the forms properly and they submit all the forms to Social Security. When I say complete the forms properly, I'll give you an example. Social Security, when you apply for disability, Social Security sends out a form. They call it Activities of Daily Living, where they ask questions about how you spend your day, what you do. And commonly we'll see, for example, clients with a back problem, and they'll describe on this form that they wash laundry or they do dishes. But what they should have really said on the form is that when they do the dishes, for example, they have to lean against the sink, or they have to go and take breaks because it's too hard for them to stand there and wash all the dishes. But people fail to really give good explanations when they're filling out the paperwork. So that's one way they can improve their chances. The other way too is to make sure that they're getting medical attention. Make sure they're attending all their doctor's appointments and taking all their prescribed medication. I'll give you an example. If somebody is applying for Social Security disability based on a mental health problem and they're not taking the prescribed medicines, Social Security can use that as a reason to deny somebody. So those are just two examples of what people can do to get approved. I could go on all day giving examples.
Sure. And Dave, how exactly does your agency, Benefit Representatives of America, help clients with the Social Security disability process?
So we use our many years of experience and our knowledge of the system to help clients navigate through it. When we agree to work with a client, we take the case on a contingency basis, which really means we don't receive a fee unless we win their case. So that gives people the reassurance that we're going to do everything in our power to win their case. Basically, we handle all the necessary paperwork. We make sure everything's filed in a timely manner. We make sure everything's filled out completely. But one of the more important things that we do, too, especially if we get to an administrative hearing where we're going in front of a Social Security law judge, we make sure that we've developed a complete file, which would include us getting all the medical records. And more importantly, we also obtain doctor supporting statements. We call them medical source opinions. We obtain those for our clients, and that helps to build a strong case as well.
Excellent. Thank you, David Penrose, for visiting with us today and for explaining these things, and how much you help people is fascinating. And again, you don't get paid unless you guys win. So, and you do even go into court. I know that. So, folks, he's an expert, the guy to call right here in Rochester at Benefit Reps of America, 663-6333. Thanks, Dave, for joining us and for what you do for all your clients.
Thanks for having me, Mike and Joanna.
You got it. And folks, David Penrose passed his passion for helping people on to his daughter, Lindsay. She's going to join us next with the Medicare news on News Radio, Wham 1180. Welcome back to Seniors Rock Radio. I'm Joanna, your host, and we're here now. We just finished speaking, I should say, with David Penrose. Dave. And now we're happy to introduce his daughter, Lindsay Penrose. We're talking about family today, and Lindsay is his daughter, as I said, and she's also a certified Medicare specialist in their family business, and that's Benefit Representatives of America. And Lindsay's licensed with all major insurance companies in the Rochester area. She helps clients take advantage of benefits that they can receive by comparing the coverage with them. And I have experience of that. She is fantastic, the best I've ever worked with. So I have a question, and I know some people wonder, what if you have both Medicare and Medicaid? And I don't, but I know that some people are wondering about that. So that's something we wanted to talk about today. Lindsay's been here before. So let's ask the one who knows, Lindsay Penrose. Always great to see you, Lindsay. Hi.
Morning, Joanna, and hello, Mike.
Hey, Lindsay, thanks for joining us. So, yeah, how about that question? Somebody has both Medicare and Medicaid. How do they maximize their benefits?
So, for someone who has both Medicare and Medicaid, they would qualify for a certain type of Medicare Advantage plan. It is called a dual special needs plan. Dual meaning Medicare and Medicaid combined. Dual special needs plans are designed for people who could use more help. The reason could be because of a disability, income, age, and or health conditions.
Interesting. So is it hard to find a doctor that accepts that insurance plan?
So, with these dual special needs plans, it's not difficult to find a doctor who would accept it. These are becoming extremely popular, and the network of doctors is expanding day by day. In Rochester, all of the University of Rochester and Rochester Regional Health Facilities accept these plans. So, if you're listening today and you're in Rochester, you actually have a very large advantage.
Well, that's good news. And
Yeah.
I'm going to ask another question. Is it hard, Lindsay, to find a doctor that accepts this insurance plan?
So no, not in Rochester, especially because all of the facilities right now have really been taken over by University of Rochester and Rochester Regional Health. So we actually have a really large advantage where these facilities accept the plan. So it's not difficult.
Oh, thank you very much. And so, is this something that you can help set up, Lindsay? I know you do the Medicare stuff. You've helped me very much with that. Is this also something you do?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I can help set up. I'm licensed with many insurance companies that offer this type of insurance. I would be able to make sure that your doctors accept it as well. There's many different options available for those, and it's really based on your medical needs. That's what I would help to find the one that fits you best.
Wow. Well, you cover so much information, Lindsay. Is there anything else today that you like to share with our listeners that's important, in regard to any of this information?
Absolutely. I want to explain what exactly a dual special needs plan has to offer that makes it different. For example, United Healthcare, Aetna, and WellCare offer plans like this. And these plans give additional coverage not available with original Medicare. You would still keep your Medicaid benefits, but now just get some other extra opportunities. Many people know that these plans offer coverage with dental, vision, and monthly spending credits. The credits can be spent in a few different ways depending on the plan that you pick. So, for example, over the counter products, healthy food items, and utility bills. These plans have become so popular most of the time when I meet with a client, they let me know that their friends or family are using it and they want the same benefits. These plans are the best ways to maximize your benefits if you have both Medicare and Medicaid.
Wow, that's great information. And how often does someone come in with that kind of a question? I mean, I wonder how often it happens.
So nowadays, obtaining Medicare and Medicaid is very doable, especially with a change in our economy. So I actually have a lot more clients that go on to dual special needs plans than just the normal Medicare Advantage plans. So it's very common, it's very popular, and if you don't have that Medicaid, we can talk about it and see maybe if there's a way to possibly get that and obtain that so you can get this type of plan.
And I
Right,
guess,
excellent.
Lindsay, I do have a question. So if somebody is on both Medicaid and Medicare, is this someone who's typically still living on their own, or would they be nursing home residents? Who typically would fall into that category?
So with my clients, it's typically people that are living at home because a lot of times people who have Medicaid can also receive in-home care that is funded by Medicaid. So a lot of my clients will take advantage of that opportunity, and usually a friend or a family will care for them. They'll get paid from Medicaid, they'll stay at home, and they'll still get this policy. So most of the time, that's what I see. As not to say there aren't people in homes receiving this type of benefit, but for me, what I day to day, it's typically people at home. And if you're not receiving that in-home care and you want to get that through Medicaid, I can send you out to someone that I trust that does that.
That's great. Yeah, folks, I work with her, as I said, and she does a great job. And, we talk about making appointments with everyone, and it's really hard these days to get those done. I believe that you can even stop into the office, right, Lindsay, on Westridge Road there, and even if you
Yes.
don't have an appointment, correct?
Yeah, stop in, and if I'm available, I will definitely meet with you. But if for some reason I'm not available, we'll set up a time for you to come back, or I can even just give you a call and we can do it right over the phone.
Yeah. And that phone number is super easy to remember 633-6333, and that's area code 585. And Lindsay, you do a lot of work for people, and I'm wondering what you do in your spare time. What do you do when you're relaxing?
Oh, in my spare time. I wasn't ready for this
I
question.
know, I know. I love to do this to people.
Well, in the summer, I really enjoy hanging out by my family's pool, and I live in Fairport, so I love to walk around the village. I just went to the
Yeah.
farmers market this morning, so I like to get
Oh,
out there
there's
and
the
see what's
music you
going
got saved.
on.
I have to cut you off, but thanks again, Lindsay. We'll have
Oh,
you
thanks
back.
for
We've
having
had you on
me.
before. I want people to know what you're like. So great info
Aw.
today from the special father and daughter team. Thank you so much. Visit them at Benefit Reps of America at their offices, 1577 Westridge Road, or you can stop in online too. Check it out, ssareps.com. We'll have them back. Stay right there. Welcome back to Seniors Rock Radio. Family's been the theme today, and it reminds me that I feel good not only because I'm breathing cleaner air since getting our air ducts cleaned, but also because my family and our little Ming is too. And we're all breathing better. Ming, by the way, is a little Shih Tzu. Did I say that right? Whoops. But she has a very tiny nose, and we're all breathing better, including her. Indoor air professionals are recommended by us here at Seniors Rock and by me personally because we've experienced the professional service and seen what comes out of the air ducts. And let me tell you something, it's gross. If you've never had your air ducts cleaned, we've got a contact with the best in the business, Indoor Air Pros. Call Peter today. You'll save 20% off your first air duct cleaning, and then you'll send us a thank you note. No, I'm just kidding. But not, I'd love to have them, but not kidding about the 20% off and savings on other superior equipment too. Hundreds off the Healthway portable medical grade air purifier or the whole house unit too. So Peter will even send the price list to you so you can see the savings yourself. Cleaner air is easy. Call Peter today. He works on Saturdays, 585-427-8020, 585-427-8020, or you can visit indoorairpro.com. And I see that we have a caller, and his name is John. He's been very patient waiting, and he has a question for Mike.
Hello, John.
Hello, Mike. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. How are you today?
I am fine. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What can I help with?
So I had a question on Medicaid eligibility in terms of irrevocable trust dividends. Currently, I'm taking the dividends for living expenses, and I wondered how that is handled in terms of Medicaid eligibility. Or the second scenario is if I no longer took the dividends for living expense and had them reinvested in the irrevocable trust, how would that have any different effect on Medicaid eligibility?
Sure. So the first issue, John, is going to be what does the trust say um, needs to be done with those dividends, and does it provide for any way to change what initially you said was going to happen with the dividends? But as the dividends are paying out, that's considered income to you. And if you're applying for Medicaid, that will be factored into if you're eligible otherwise. It's just going to factor into the amount of income that you'll need to contribute to the cost of care at the nursing home. If the dividends are simply reinvested, and if the trust allows for that to happen, then that is not necessarily going to be treated as income. You might have to do some explaining with the Department of Human Services because legally, income for income tax purposes is different from income for Medicaid eligibility purposes, but sometimes the caseworker will conflate the two. But it really comes down to what are the terms of the trust. And again, if that's something that you'd like someone to look over for you, I'd be happy to do that offline.
Appreciate it, Michael. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And we also have another caller here. His name is Mitch. Hi, Mitch. And I understand you have a question on Medicaid. Is this for Mike or Lindsay? Because Lindsay has left the building here.
Mike.
But we can see what your question is anyway. Hello, thank you for calling.
Okay, my question is I was on Medicaid. I'm low income. I was supposed to get $467 a month on Social Security, and I was on Medicaid and Medicare, and then I went and I signed up to look at that Freedom Care where they come and help you, and well, I wasn't eligible for that, but they took me off Medicaid. I never got back on, and they take $170 a month away, and I get down to $293 a month.
Yikes. Well, that's not good. Pam, would you please take his information? We're going to pass that along to Benefit Reps of America. Mitch, we'll try to get you some help there. Thank you for calling.
And it sounds like we're coming up on the end of the show. So thanks again, folks, for listening. As always, be well and be kind.
Thanks for being with us. Tune in next week, folks, at 11 o'clock. Our new start time. Our guest will be Michael Garland, Director of the Monroe County Department of Environmental Services. And we're going to talk about recycling and the Eco Park. It's fabulous stuff. Stay with us. Don't forget, we've got information that'll help you as you're aging. We're all aging, and we're going to have some fun, too. So don't ever forget, Seniors Rock.